I call to order the Lake Mills Plan Commission meeting of July 27. We'll proceed with roll call.
Mr. Holman?
Here.
Mr. Schumacher?
Here.
Mr. Coots?
Here.
Ms. Lazaris?
Here.
Mr. Grady? Mr. Grady? Mrs. Bishop?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have item number 3, correction and/or approval of the minutes of May 25.
Move to approve.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve these minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, then we'll proceed with a roll call vote.
Before I start the vote, can I just get confirmation on who was the first motion?
It was Mr. Holman, followed by Mrs. Bishop.
Thank you very much. Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Mr. Coots?
Abstain.
I believe I heard him abstain. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Abstain.
Mhm.
Ms. Lazaris?
Aye.
Mrs. Bishop?
Aye.
Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0 with Mr. Coots abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Next is item number 4, questions and public comment. The public may address the commission at this time regarding items on the agenda unless the item is the subject of a public hearing. We have no public hearing this evening. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the commission on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments limited to 3 minutes. State your name and address when starting your comments. For those present, please approach the podium and sign in your name and address there, and also state your name and address for the record. For people online, then indicate your name and address for the record as well. Are there any public comments at this time? I understand that there has been a request and registration with the city clerk by 2 people. Yes.
Okay, John Green. I'm John Thody. I live at N6662 Shorewood Hills Road, Town of Lake Mills. And thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here to discuss the Waterfront Landowner Reference Guide that we created. I'm here on behalf of the Rock Lake Improvement Association. This was created in conjunction with the Joint Rock Lake Committee, and this was led by the Joint Rock Lake Committee. Both the committee and ourselves noticed that the town residents and city residents had problems understanding the city ordinances and the county ordinances with regard to some of the lake rules and some of the rules with regard to the protection of the shoreline. And so this document was created basically to hopefully simplify that process for residents living on the lake and on the mill pond that have shoreline rights, as well as residents of the Cedars. We met with the city during the process of creating this. We took the city's comments into consideration. We also met with Jefferson County Soil and Water Conservation members and took their comments into consideration. They reviewed this extensively throughout the process. One of the things the city attorney pointed out was, this should in no way try and specifically say what the city ordinances are or interpret the city ordinances. This is sort of a simplification of that. We say in a number of places in this document that residents should refer to the city ordinances or the county ordinances with regard to what they're planning on doing along the shoreline. All of us want to protect the lake. We consider the lake a great asset to this community, and shoreline protection is one of the things that helps protect the lake. This was sent to all the addresses of people in the township that live in the lake, all the addresses of the people that live in the city that have lake frontage, everybody in the mill pond. Was sent to the directors of the Rock Lake HOA, which is over in Shorewood Hills, because they have a spot on that little isthmus that's over off of Lake Lane. Was sent to the city council members and also sent to all the plan commission members. So I brought a couple of these along if anyone hasn't received them. If they would like them, I'm not sure. There's been certainly turnover on the city council since these were sent out earlier. That's it. I'm just here to present this. Is there anyone who has any questions or anything of me?
Yeah, I do. Are you having your meetings live, or are they still virtual?
We just started meeting. Our last meeting was here in City Hall. So that was our July meeting. Prior to that, it had been virtual, and the meetings are on our website. And anybody can log into our meetings. And then they're just members of the public that are on the board meetings. And the board meetings are held monthly, of course. And the schedule of the board meetings is on the website, and how to log in is on the website as well.
Okay.
But we are now meeting with this just this month actually, in July, a week ago, Monday, we met together.
I know a few meetings ago I asked if you could invite me to one of your meetings, and you said yes, and I just wasn't aware when the meetings were, or if you were having them yet.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll bring that up again now that we're meeting together in person. I did when you spoke to me a few months ago. I mentioned it, and our chair said, why don't we wait till we're getting together again?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Thank you very much. I appreciate the time to be able to come in front of the council.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thode. This brochure, we appreciate the time and effort taken to distribute this brochure. Very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Is there a second person who is commenting under questions and public comment?
Is this thing working?
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Steve Sturwald. I own and operate Steve's Car and Truck Service at 119 South Main Street in Lake Mills. Been there for a good spell, probably 30 plus years, maybe longer. Got a couple of questions for the council here, which I don't know too many of you people. I know a couple of people here. Regarding the 415 North CP Avenue property that we have. We did put that property up for sale, and we've got a prospective buyer, Todd Oberg from the camper place in town here. He has some concerns about some of the things that would need to be done to that property. I guess I'm not understanding all of what they want or why they want some of these things. One of them was privacy fencing. It is an industrial park. He wants to keep some campers down there, repair some campers. No motorized vehicles, no motorized campers. Basically pull type and maybe pickup campers, slide-ins. The other thing that was mentioned was possibly water control. In the time that I've owned the property, we've not had any runoff problems. Water seems to go where it's supposed to go when it rains. And when it doesn't rain, we don't have a problem. So I guess I'm looking for some answers to this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sturwald. I would recommend that you contact staff, and a lot of things you mentioned are contained in city code. And I would just meet with city staff, you and the other interested party, and take a look at the code, and the staff would gladly explain what the code contains that pertains to your property. So you mentioned a privacy fence, and I do recall that fencing was one of the items that was contained in the zoning code at the time of the rewrite. And there may be other things that you're wondering about. So I would recommend sitting down with city staff and go over the things that pertain to this property, the zoning, the code requirements that pertain, so that you are well aware of what there is. And for you to ask is a good idea, so that you're not caught by surprise in later times.
Steve has come in and visited with me, as well as Todd,
Oh,
over
that's
at the
good.
Country Campers. Some of the problem is that we don't have any site plan.
All right.
He's looking at purchasing the property and just using it without any plan that we've been able to analyze for a BSO.
Okay.
And so that makes it a little bit more difficult to determine what the stormwater will be and what the total operations will be. I think he submitted something this week or to the end of last week. So, we're going to try and figure out what's going on. And Brian does the BSOs, so he'll be working with Todd. And it is a conditional use, so it'll be coming before the Plan Commission
Okay.
for their review. So,
All right. It sounds like things are moving forward very well. And often people wonder why they have to have a site plan. It's not only a requirement in the code, but so many people find that when they do take the time and they have the site plan prepared, that it's a huge benefit for them as well, and gives them information that they can go forward with in a better way for their property. So I would encourage you to go forward with staff and what you would like to achieve for your property.
Well, I understand all that, but I also understand I'm old school, and we really don't have control over anything. If you think you do, it's just an illusion. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. And you have to figure out how to deal with that, and you have to be able to cope with that. A lot of people can't do that today. The other thing, you have to take people for their word. I mean, not everybody is going to run wild, but we need to take some of this stuff back. The people need to have it back. So thanks for listening. I don't really have a lot to say. I'm not a very good speaker, but I can tell you that when I make a decision, I live by that decision, and I stand by what I decide. And at the end of the day, I make it right with whoever's involved. So that's about all I got to tell you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming and speaking to us, Mr. Sturwold. Okay. Are there any other people who would like to speak under questions and public comment and have registered with the clerk? All right, hearing none, then we proceed with item number 5. Discussion, recommendation of Reed Street condominium plat. And to start, if we could have an overview of this requested plat by Mr. Carranza.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Commissioners. So the request is recommendation of approval for condominium plat for an existing duplex at 952 Reed Street. This is commonly referred to as a condo conversion. The existing use is rental structure duplex, and they're looking to create a condo plat to sell each unit individually. The existing parcel is zoned R2-8, and both the existing and the proposed uses are permitted by right within that district. In the planner's memo, I did provide a snapshot of the proposed condo plat. You'll see that the lot layout requirements are met. And then in addition to that, all the setback requirements and bulk requirements within the R2-8 district are met as well. As far as access to the duplex, the existing driveways, there are one for each unit. You'll see that in the proposed condo plat, showing the limited as well as common elements and the elements identified for each unit. Easements on the site, there's an existing 20-foot utility and stormwater easement along the rear of the property. Both Public Works and engineering staff will confirm that prior to recording. And then as far as the declarations, articles, and bylaws that are required by the code to be submitted with this condo plat, Attorney Drescher will address the city's interest to that, but a cursory review looked like all the required materials were there. So as far as the proposed condominium plat does comply with the requirements of section 653.1, which regulates condo plats. And it's staff opinion that Plan Commission recommend approval of the plat to City Council conditioned upon the following. Any amendments to the condominium declarations recommended by the city attorney, confirmation of the proposed easements or the existing easements by the city engineer and public works director, and then any technical corrections by the city engineer or Jefferson County that is required. And with that, I'll open up to Attorney Drescher for any comments or questions.
Okay. Attorney Drescher, do you have any remarks concerning this requested plat?
No, I did review the bylaws, the rules and regulations, the declaration of condominium, as well as the articles of organization. It's a 2-unit condo, so it creates a little bit of a difficulty in the event of a tie vote. I mean, you only have 1 vote per unit, and there's 2 units. So if those 2 individuals don't end up agreeing on whatever's being voted on, use of a common element or something like that, that could create a little bit of difficulty, but it's really not the city's issue. As I reviewed the documents, they look fine. They're in good form. It's a standard conversion. I don't think it affects the city's interest at all. The common elements are addressed. There's no new construction on right-of-way or public property. So I don't see any issues with it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Drescher. All right. Are there any other staff comments concerning this proposed plat? Very well. All right. Plan Commissioners, you have in front of you Plan Commission Motion 2171, Condominium Plat Approval, Reed Street Condominium. This motion sets forth the city's authority regarding platting under Wisconsin state statutes. The application by Neil Shade for condominium plat at 950 and 952. Reed Street review by city staff of the proposed plat and applicable documents related to condominium organization and governance, and review by Plan Commission. This motion does provide for a recommendation by the Plan Commission to the City Council to approve the Reed Street condominium plat subject to submission of all supporting documents in proper form, and that any required outside agency review be completed and all supporting documents submitted in final form within the required timeframes set forth in the code, or approval set forth herein would be null and void. And as Mr. Kranz had mentioned, of course, these conditions incorporate by extension his conditions set forth that any amendments to the condominium declarations as recommended by the city attorney, 2, confirmation of the proposed easements by the city engineer and public works director, and 3, any technical corrections required by the city engineer or Jefferson County. Plan Commissioners, do you have any questions? Mr. Shade is here, the applicant. Do you have any questions of Mr. Shade or staff concerning this proposed plat? Mrs. Bishop?
Yes, for Mr. Drescher. In the event there's an issue on this piece of property, who does the city take that up with? Is it the condo association or the individual owner or both? And how would that play out?
That's a fine question. With regard to common elements, I believe that the city would take up issues with the actual association. The bylaws do establish a board of directors, one representative from each unit. So with regard to individual issues, they are individual parcels once they're condoed out, and the inhabitants, the owners or lessees of those properties would be responsible for any, nuisance complaints or something like that. So it's kind of a hybrid situation. If there's a nuisance tree on the lot, that would probably be considered a condo association issue. If there's a automobile that's inoperable and parked in front of one of the units and it's identifiable as the individual's unit, probably that individual would be responsible for it, whoever's of title at the particular unit. So it's a hybrid situation, but I believe the city's covered in both eventualities.
Yes, Mrs. Bishop.
I have one more. Thank you for that, Mr. Drescher. This is addressed to all of the gentlemen on staff and Mr. Carranza. Are there any other condominium plats in this neighborhood?
Yeah, there are quite a few. Several in this area, several over in East Lakeland Heights. We found out about them through the back door because they were recorded at the county, and the county wasn't requiring the city to take care of the plants, so we were kind of getting condoed by county notification. So recently we've been getting those condo plats and carrying them out as required by city code. But yeah, I'll bet there are 10, maybe 15 of these zero lot lines and duplexes that have been condoed.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. Ms. Lazarus, I have one other question, and it was actually a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Shade to address the Plan Commission if he so desires.
Mrs. Bishop has motioned to suspend the rules to address Mr. Shade. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, Mr. Shade. And then, does anyone have a question of Mr. Shade at this time?
Mr. Shade, I just thought I had seen you moving to the podium at one point, and I wanted to make sure if you had anything that you wanted to address with the Plan Commission, you can do that at this time.
I don't have anything further. All the documentation, it speaks for itself. It's a very straightforward transaction that I'm looking for, exactly as the city attorney mentioned. It's a duplex that's being converted into a 2-unit condo. At this point in time, the zero lot line duplexes are very difficult when it comes to legal matters, and that's the reason why my attorney recommended the condo association, because the laws are very, very well defined at this point in time around condo associations. So that's the reason I went that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Shade. I appreciate that.
And that is a comment we hear a lot, particularly in relationship to getting loans.
Aye. Plan Commissioners, do you have any other questions or comments concerning this proposed plat? All right, hearing none, is there a motion concerning the prepared motion 2171?
I move to accept motion 21-7-1 for the condominium plat approval for Reed Street condominium.
I motion by Mrs. Bishop and second by Mr. Coots to accept motion 2171. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, then we'll proceed with a roll call vote.
Mr. Coots? Aye. Ms. Lazaris?
Aye.
Mrs. Bishop?
Aye.
Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
All right. Thank you. That goes now to item number 6, recommendations for future agendas. Is there anything that should come forward at this time?
Yeah, I have some stuff. As you heard, I was speaking with Mr. Thody of RLIA. You can't hear me? No. And I plan to attend one of those meetings. My phone is totally rang off the hook this month. You swear I was a council member on zoning issues that we created. I think down the road here, we need to talk about, as a plan commission, of adjusting some of the Title 10 zoning code. I just met our new one of our new council members, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the city council in some kind of forum, whether it be a work session like we talked about or something, so that we can all get on the same page. As a planning commission, we got to remember that we're just appointed, and the city council is elected. And I'd like some additional direction from the council. We haven't really, I don't know, in the last few years, we haven't really communicated together with the council. And I'm not quite sure if other boards or commissions have. We're really an advisory panel for the city council. And I think it would be just a positive measure to open the chain of communication, because I think, well, a lot of things are happening. The city's booming, a lot of construction, a lot of questions. I think we need to communicating, all get on some kind of page where we know where things are headed. So I think there should be some additional agenda items down the road so we can openly talk about it.
Okay.
And I'll bring some of those to the table after meeting with, like I say, some of these people.
That would be that sounds like a good idea. If you have something you want to present, then I think let's put that on the agenda. That sounds wonderful. Mm-hmm. All right, thank you, Mr. Holman. Is there anything else that anyone wishes to bring forward concerning future agendas? All right, hearing none, then we go to item number 7, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Holman, seconded by Mrs. Bishop to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone against? Aye. We are adjourned.